Number 1, identify the foci of each, then sketch the graph. Well, honestly, I think it should be sketch the graph, then identify the foci, because having a picture of it makes it a little bit easier to find the foci. So, we first need to figure out what this is. This is the equation of an ellipse. Okay, how do we know it's an ellipse? There's a plus sign in the middle. Okay, so once you know it's an ellipse, you have to figure out, is it vertical or horizontal? And how do you figure that out with an ellipse? A is always bigger than B. So that means this is your A value and it's under the X, so it's horizontal. Okay, if the bigger number's under the X, it's horizontal. If the bigger number's under the Y, it would be vertical. Now we need to figure out the center of this horizontal ellipse. Where is it? 1, 3. Because in the H place is a 1 and the K place is a 3. Now we need to figure out the A and the B. Which one's which? Correct. Because with a horizontal ellipse, A is on the left, B is on the right. That would have been 6 squared. That would have been 2 squared. So now I have enough information to sketch this ellipse. The center of it is at 1, 3. So right 1, up 3. And then from there, under the X was a 6, correct? So that means left and right, I'll go 6 units. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And then left 6 from the center. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, under the Y is where I got my B value of 2. So that means I'll go up 2 and down 2. And now I have the 4 points I need to graph this ellipse. So just do your best. It's not easy to draw an ellipse. Yeah, let me try that again. What do you mean? That's an H and a K. Okay, hold on, let me use this to draw my ellipse. It'll be better. Okay, so your ellipse should look something like that. Now they want to know the foci. With an ellipse, are the foci inside the ellipse or outside the ellipse? Inside. So, to find the foci, won't you be going right and left? Because it's horizontal. Well, we need to find out the value of how many we're going to go right and how many we're going to go left. And that's where we use the foci formula, which is C squared equals A squared minus B squared. Okay, and all of this information is on your formula sheet. You just have to know how to use it. A squared was 36. B squared was 4. So that becomes C squared equals 32. And that means C equals what? 5.7. Okay, so if your C value is 5.7, that means you'll be going right 5.7 from the center and left 5.7. Well, I mean, you can plot those if you want, but that will be added onto which one of these numbers, 1 or 3? 1. So 3 will not be changing because you're not going up or down to find your foci. You're just going left and right. So if we're at 1 and we go right 5.7, where will that land us? 6.7. If we're at 1 and we go left 5.7, where will that put us? Negative 4.7. So those are your foci points, and that's really what the question was asking for. So that would be the answers you'd look for. Okay, number 2. This is the equation of a hyperbola. What type of hyperbola? Vertical. What is the center of it? negative 1, negative 1. They kind of made it easy for you because both of them are going to be negative 1s. But remember, with a vertical hyperbola, you got to be careful because this is x minus h, and this is y minus k. So anytime you're doing a vertical hyperbola and you're looking for the h and k, you have to look here for the h and here for the k. But in this one, they made it simple because it's the same number. No. Okay, so now A is, well, look at the equation of a, you're right. The equation of a vertical hyperbola, isn't A always on the left and B is always on the right with a hyperbola? So A would be 2 and B would be 4. Okay, so now we have enough information to sketch this vertical hyperbola. So the center is at negative 1, negative 1. So left 1, down 1. And then from there, this A value of 2 came out from under the y, right? So that means we'll go up 2 and down 2. And this B value of 4, didn't it come from under the x? So that means you'll go right 4 and left 4. Now remember though, this is not an ellipse, this is a hyperbola. So those 4 dots allow you to make the box. Okay, and now since we know it's a vertical hyperbola, from this vertex, it will open up. And then from this vertex, it will open down. Okay, but we haven't even done what the question really wants. The question really wants what? The foci. Well, for a hyperbola, when you do the foci, you add the a squared and the b squared. So that would be 4 plus 16, which is 20. And then the square root of 20 is 4.5. Okay, which way from the center will we be going 4.5? Up and down because it's a vertical hyperbola. And if you remember back when we were first doing these, aren't the foci points on the inside because it's like the parabola has to eat the foci points? So it'll be somewhere up there and somewhere down here. Well, if you're just going up and down, that won't affect this x value of negative 1, will it? So it'll remain negative 1 for both x values. But from negative 1, you'll go up 4.5, which will land you where? 3.5. And then from negative 1, you'll go down 4.5, which will land you where? Negative 5.5. Okay, why don't you take a second and try number 3 by yourself. This is an equation of a hyperbola, and yes, it is vertical because y came first. What is the center? Right, they made it easy to do the center again because both numbers are the same. However, it might not be like that on the test, so you have to remember anytime you have a vertical hyperbola and y comes first, that's your k value and that's your h value. Okay, they just made it easy on the review sheet by making it the same number. Now we need to know the a and the b, which they also made pretty easy. What's the a? What's the b? 3. So now we have enough information to graph this vertical hyperbola. We go to 2, 2, and then they're both 3, so that means we go up 3 and down 3, and we go right 3 and left 3. And that will give you the points you need to make your box. Since it's a vertical hyperbola, it'll open up and it'll open down. Okay, those points where I'm starting, this point and that point, are known as the vertices. This is the vertex of that one. This is the vertex of that one. So when there's more than one, you say vertices. Okay, so now that we have a picture, doesn't that kind of let us know that the foci will be somewhere up here and somewhere down here? Okay, see how seeing the picture kind of gives you an idea of where the foci will be? So even if you are not successful at the foci formula, just by doing the picture and having multiple choice, you might get it right. Because you know they should be over 2 and then up to about 5 point something or maybe 6 point something, and then over 2 and down to like -2 point something. You'll have an idea of where they should be about. Okay, so now to do the actual foci formula for a hyperbola is c squared equals a squared plus b squared, which would be 9 plus 9, which is 18. But you solve for c, you square root both sides. And what is the square root of 18? 4.2, right. So doesn't that mean we'll be going up 4.2 and down 4.2? And that's from the y value, correct? So for your foci points, you're still going to go right 2. That's not going to change. But then from this y value of 2, you'll add 4.2 to it, which will bring you 2. And then from 4, you'll go down, from 2, you'll go down 4.2, which will take you to, and didn't I just say a while ago, I guessed right 2 and then up about 6 point something and right 2 down about -2 point something? So if you can at least draw yourself a sketch, even if you don't know how to do the foci formula, you can kind of figure it out if you have multiple choice. All right, number 4. Is everybody done copying? Number 4, use the information provided to write the standard form equation of each hyperbola. Okay, we've been doing a lot of these. So if you've been doing your homework each night, you should be good at these. What do I do first? Right, you do both in the first step. You group the x's and you group the y's. And you add the constant to the other side or subtract it depending on what it was to begin with. Since it was -131, we'll add it over, it'll become +131. What's step 2? Well, before doing that, you have to factor out the coefficient on the x squared and the y squared term. So you'll take -3 out, and you'll take +4 out. Okay, when you take -3 out, what is -3x squared divided by -3? Just x squared. What is 42x divided by -3? You have a calculator. -14x. Now over here, when you take 4 out of 4y squared, what's left? Y squared. When you take it out of -56y, what's left? -14y. Because -56 divided by 4 is also -14. Now in the next step, we're ready to add in the blanks. So x squared minus 14x plus blank, and then plus 4 times y squared minus 14y plus blank. And then since you added 2 blanks on the left, you add 2 blanks on the right. How do we fill in these blanks? B over 2 squared. For the x trinomial, what is the b? Divided by 2? Squared? 49. But remember, you don't just simply add 49 over here because you have to do what to it first? Multiply it by that outside -3, which makes it, right, -147 over there. Then look, isn't that the same trinomial as the x one? So it'll be 49 again, but this time you have to multiply it by its outside number of 4, which means you'll be adding 196 over here. So now we're ready to factor. And then what does all this become? 180? Okay, we're looking for two numbers that multiply to 49 and add to -14. What numbers do that? A -7. And then that's the exact same trinomial. It'll just be y minus 7, y minus 7. Remember, for those of you who are having trouble thinking of the numbers, it's just b divided by 2. Negative 14 divided by 2 is negative 7. So those are your numbers. What? Right. Now, since you have 2 of those, you might as well just write it once and square it. And then same thing with the y minus 7. Okay, now what do we do? Put it over 180 because all hyperbolas equal 1. And that means you put this over 180 and this one over 180. So now what do we need to do? Well, reduce. Negative 3 over 180 reduces to what? Negative 1 over 60. So negative 1 over 60. And then 4 over 180 reduces to what? 1 over 45. Okay. But with hyperbolas, shouldn't that minus be in the middle? Because right now this looks like an ellipse, and they told us in the directions it is a hyperbola. So we need to switch things around so that that minus is in the middle. So the y minus 7 squared will come first over 45, and then minus x minus 7 squared over 60, and then equals 1. And that will be one of the answer choices. You just have to pick the right one. Now, why don't you try the next problem by yourself? All right, this one was actually a little bit easier because you didn't have anything to group with that 9y squared. So it made it a little less work. You had to group the x's. There was nothing to group with the 9y squared, and then you had to add the 162 over to the other side. Okay, then at this point, you've got to really pay attention. What number are we factoring out of the x's? A negative 1. That's a negative 1. When you factor out a negative 1, what remains? X. Very good. Now, with the 9y squared, think about it. If I tried to factor out a 9, isn't it just going to leave y squared? So you don't really have to do anything there. Okay, so now we're ready to add the blanks. Negative 1, and then x squared plus 18x plus blank, and then plus 9y squared. Who can tell me why I don't need a blank over there? What? There's no b value. To fill in the blank, don't we have to do b divided by 2 squared? Well, there was no b value because there was no linear y term over here. There was just a quadratic y term. So for the x trinomial, what is the b? Divided by 2 squared. But what do we add over here? Negative 81, because 81 times negative 1 is negative 81. So now I have negative 1, and I'm ready to factor that. And then on the end, what do those combine to be? 81. You got a 162 plus a negative, so that's like 162 minus 81. Now we're ready to factor. What numbers multiply to 81 and add to 18? 9 and 9. Since there's 2 of them, you might as well just write it once and square it. Now what do I need to do? Right? Because I want my equation to equal 1. At this point, shouldn't that minus be in the middle since it's hyperbola? I guess before we do that, though, we should go ahead and reduce. That won't reduce. What will this one reduce to? 1 over 9. And yeah, you don't have to write the 1. So it ends up being 1y squared over 9 minus x plus 9 squared over 81 equals 1. And that is the choice you would pick.